A pink film is the name given to Japanese sexploitation films. I'll give you one guess why they went with that color for the name. And if you take a pink film and you add a bit of the old ultra-violence, you get what's called pinky violence. And that's what we're doing today. Welcome to Exploitation Reviews, and me, Rob, and today I'm taking a look at 1973's Terrifying Girls High School, Lynch Law Classroom. This is the second film in the Terrifying Girls High School series, but it's the easiest one to find, so I'm going to start here. And since this is a pinky violence film, we can expect some pink and some violence, so let's see how it all comes together. We open on some terrifying girls undressing and cutting another girl. They're cutting a body part YouTube won't let me show unless it has a baby sucking on it, and a knife ain't no baby, so you're gonna have to use your imagination.
Now, just work here.
Then one of the girls tells the cut girl she'll die if she loses too much blood. With a burst of crazy, bleeding girl escapes onto the roof, and the only place to go is down. So she's dead.
Ciao, baby.
The police tell the principal that they'll write this off as yet another accident. And then it's time to meet our characters. The first girl tries to steal a car and gets arrested. That's Miki Sugimoto, by the way. She was in quite a few of these pinky violence films in the 70s, often paired opposite Reiko Ike, the star of Sex and Fury, which I covered a few years ago. Another girl gets in a fight with a group of men. Her razor blade does a pretty good job of keeping them at bay, and then she's arrested. A third girl gives a truck driver a hand. He's overwhelmed by the applause and can't maintain his composure anymore, so he crashes, and then she is arrested. All three of these girls will be the new students at the School of Hope. And the disciplinary committee, who we saw bleeding a girl earlier, will be in charge of disciplining these new intakes. So it's looking like this is going to be a kind of a women in prison film. The first thing the committee does is search the girls and tell them they can't wear panties, at least not whatever kind they're currently wearing. I'm not sure what the problem was with what they were currently wearing, but I'm not going to complain. Wearing the wrong kind isn't a problem for one of the girls. And as with many women in prison films, the step after the intake is to take a shower. Unfortunately, the shower is only to be used by the disciplinary committee, so there's a bit of a tussle and then the showerer gets thrown into a room with a bath. Naturally, most of this will remain hidden here on YouTube.
No fair.
In another part of the movie, a journalist has taken an interest in the girl who was killed in the cold open. In order to have a chance against the discipline committee, the new girls formed their own gang, and their first order of business is to get some information about the girl that was killed. She was a friend of Noriko's. Well, it turns out getting information is not too difficult as long as you're willing to get up to some lesbian action on a toilet. Not to repeat myself, but there's a lot of this I can't show you. But I can reenact some of it for you. Something like that. The new girls ask the principal to reopen the investigation into the opening girl's death, and this leads to a big fight, and then our three gals end up in detention. And since the discipline committee found out they have a leak, they plug that leak with a hot light bulb. And after they're done plugging their leak, they punish the girl who had snuck some food to the three gals who ended up in detention. Her punishment is to drink a lot of water and not be allowed to use the restroom. And according to Wikipedia, this is the first theatrically released film to feature the fetish of someone peeing themselves in public. So if that's your thing, you are one sick degenerate and should reassess your life.
Dirty.
Anyway, our girls have decided to destroy the school, and to that end, they kidnap and gang the principal. Sexy. Nothing degenerate about that at all.
Oh, sure.
Alright, so our girls are going to continue along this destroying the school path. They'll be helped by the journalist and a biker played by the lovely Reiko Ike, but they'll have to contend with police and the discipline committee, and that's enough out of me as far as plot goes. Let's talk some highlights. Well, as you can probably tell, this movie is a lot of fun. Outlandish characters, outlandish situations that involve plenty of violence or nudity, often both at the same time. This movie is very high energy and goes from one crazy scene to the next with very few lulls in the action. And everyone looks great, well, except for some of the old men, but who cares about them? In particular, I really like the disguises the discipline committee wears. What is the point of the red surgical mask? Everyone knows who they are. Well, the point's to look cool, and it does. And of course, there's a fair bit of sexy in the film. If you think that Japanese schoolgirls pushing their balloons together in the toilet is sexy, and I know that you do. But aside from the unhinged violence, the nudity, and the wonderful degeneracy of it all, this film is not perfect. Like a principal losing his job in the best way possible, it has some shortcomings. Well, my main complaint about the film is that Reiko Ike is barely in it. She doesn't even show up until about 45 minutes into the film. And even after that, she has very little screen time. Her standoff with Miki Sugimoto looks pretty great, but it's just a reminder that these two should have been on screen more. Similarly, that journalist subplot is kind of pointless, and they could have just done away with that whole thing. They could have given his screen time to Reiko Ike. That would have been better. Overall, though, this is a wild slice of 70s Japanese exploitation, and if you haven't dipped too much into the pinky violence subgenre, this is a good one to start with.